welcome everyone to another deep look into the paranormal podcast where mystery meets insight. And today, in lieu of the wonderful, kind of, I guess, fan based uh, look or holiday or however you would like to say it, um, May the 4th be with you. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about UFOs, UAPs, and aliens. You ready?
It's Star Wars Day!
Woohoo! So is tomorrow. It's a 2 day event. Because
No,
today,
tomorrow's Revenge of the 5th.
it's still Star Wars.
Yes, but it's revenge.
Your point being?
Dun dun dun.
Da da da. Yeah, da da da. All right, let's get into this, shall we? Um, a lot of people know, usually know about UFOs as UFOs, which is unidentified flying objects. But the term of late has been switched to UAP, which is unidentified aircraft phenomenon. I personally am just going to stick with UFOs. What about you?
um, I mean, phenomenon technically covers ghosts too if you see them in the sky.
Well, phenomenon is just phenomenon.
I know.
Unexplained, unknown. So it covers a wide range of things, but this is specifically saying unidentified aircraft phenomenon, which means unidentified aircrafts.
I thought it was unidentified aerial phenomena.
No aircrafts.
Okay.
You could say it
The
that way
way it's
too.
spooky.
I'm not saying you can't. Um, but alien life constitutes extraterrestrial life or alien life. Um, colloquially alien? Whatever. Okay.
Equally?
Yes. Is life that originates from another world rather than on Earth, which is our planet. Do you believe in space out there? Well, not space out there, but life out there? Do you believe there's a
Um,
possibility of life out there?
yes, I believe in the possibility because, again, mathematics state that it is a probability, not just a possibility.
Well, let's be real. We can't be the only ones out there. There has to be something somewhere. That's probably looking in our direction, going, "There's got to be something out there too."
And
It's highly
there's a
improbable
lot of
to,
people who are much smarter than me
yeah.
who theorized about this. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, I want to make sure I'm saying his name right.
Because I mean, space is so vast. We don't know what's all out there. We can only speculate and see what our man made lenses that the scientists use can see, and that's as far as we can go. Until
Neil
something
deGrasse
better.
Tyson. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. Um, there, we're gonna start talking about a particular UFO sighting now that centers around this mountain. That's a gorgeous picture of it.
Oh, yeah, let's get that. Let's make that bigger. That's
Bigger.
pretty.
There. That's bigger. Um, it's very, very beautiful. But that is Mount Rainier. Rainier.
Oh, okay. I've definitely heard of Mount Rainier.
Yes. Um, if you think about it, with people nowadays, even in the past, people often turn to cheek or a blind eye to things they didn't understand or want to look at. So that's why a lot of stuff went undocumented until too many people or not undocumented, but unacknowledged, should say, until too many people reported seeing the same thing. And one of the most famous people out there that reported a UFO sighting was a private pilot from Ohio or Idaho. I'm sorry, named Kenneth Arnold. On June 24th, 1947, he claimed to see an unexplained string of 9 lights over Mount Rainier, flying at what he believed to be at least 1,200 miles an hour. And Mount Rainier is in Washington State. For those who
Okay.
want to know where it's located,
Was this the one that was apparently like a V formation, or am I thinking of a different time?
he did not specify. It just said it honestly just said that it was a string of 9 lights, and this is him right there standing next to one of his airplanes.
Okay.
Um, Sightings are often disproven, covered up, and or ignored due to human circumstances, weather balloons, and or fear. Because there's a lot of factors. I mean, like, if it's never been seen before, never been proven, or what have you, are you gonna believe it? You're gonna be tend to be more skeptical, don't you think?
Yeah, it's human nature to be skeptical.
Well, yeah, but with him and his sighting, there were other people who saw it too. So I delved into it some and found out that let's see here. Is it on this page? Um, Basically, things went. I will be going over it later, so I can just wait for it then. But it there's a lot of sightings that dated all. Yes, his sighting wasn't the first notated in throughout history. There are many all the way back to 1450 BC in Nubia. Nubia, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. If not, I'm sorry. That was founded on a 12 or 20 by 18 centimeter papyrus in 1953. So
Okay,
it
did
was,
not know about that.
yeah, sightings have gone through, through history and has been documented, but have never formally been acknowledged because we can't prove that it happened. Then all it says is someone said something, or he said, she said, and then even though you can see it on paper, what makes how can we prove that that was legitimate and not an outside circumstance? You know, like as if there could have been a plausible or explainable thing that happened. It's just that person didn't understand.
Yeah, and
If,
that's one of the things that we get a lot with history and with that
yes,
makes it kind of I hate to say it, but shoo shoo away
yes, exactly.
valid reports because when we didn't understand something, we had a history of just trying to make up something to cover so we could think we understood it.
Yeah, like um, yeah, we could, as you said, understand it. Um, what I mean by disproving sightings don't have enough physical, visual, nor documentation to be proven true. Not to mention lack of supportive key witnesses to back up your claim, which leads to things like cover-ups or more consistent with actual weather balloons, the weather balloon theory, which has been proven in several of the UFO/UAP instances. Um, of course, you can't explain that theory. You can't use that theory for way back, in BC.
If
Something
there
else.
if there were weather balloons back in the BC times, then I think we have a time travel episode on the way.
Uh, who knows? We might. Um, but with when weather balloons were first used, um, they were round. They were seen as they could be seen at almost, I guess you could see, with the way they glint off, or where the sunlight glints or any light glints off of it, creating kind of a halo look, which would be the saucer part, with the balloon being the center hub. Like a flare.
Hmm.
And as I said, creating that halo effect, and the balloon, hence flying saucer visual effect, which could be confusing. And if crosswinds or jet streams managed to catch that balloon that was taking scientific readings and research from the I think they go up into the stratosphere, or I'm not sure. I might be misthinking that, but they go up pretty dang high, higher than normal planes go at
Hmm.
times, to take these readings. They can get hooked on one of those streams and get blown or driven, so it looks like it's flying real fast.
Well, there's also the simple fact, and I'm sorry if you believe this. If you believe the world is flat, you are wrong. It's as
No,
simple as that.
yeah,
Because the world has a curve to it. The balloon can be so high that it is still catching the sun's direct rays and being lit up very brightly
mm-hmm,
while it looks like it is nighttime to you.
that is true.
So it can look like a large glowing object in the sky that after a few minutes just simply disappears.
That is
It's
correct.
because the sun finally went past the point where it's illuminating it.
That is very true. And then, which leads to fear. People tend to turn a blind eye to things that are unexplainable. They openly choose to disbelieve what is told to them out of fear for the unknown, because of the infamous "what if" conception, or
Hmm.
um, plausibility. People think, and with that, if you continue to press the issue, they think you're crazy, and clearly not of sound mind, so therefore it doesn't exist. You're just making it up, which is unfortunate because a lot of um, true stories have happened that way. Sightings have happened that way. Because, oh no, oh, that's just old silly Billy over there, wacky Bill. You don't believe word he says. He spouts random, you know, things, and believes that Bigfoot exists. I mean, how ridiculous is that? When you should have taken him seriously, right?
Yeah, we tend to. I hate to say this. We tend to be ignorant
Very
because
ignorant.
ignorant is bliss.
Yes, which is completely unfortunate. And well, if you don't have a picture of it or video of it, it doesn't exist. Okay, that's true. I can understand that. Images can't. Which brings me to a thing where images can and are easily manipulated nowadays, especially the more technologically advanced we become. Things can be altered. So, how can images or videos now even be taken for value? Because you're having to sit here and believe that that was not changed. Okay?
Yeah,
And
it's
it,
going to be one of those arguments of if you want to believe, you'll believe no matter what. If you don't want to
exactly.
believe, you're not going to believe no matter what. You can always find a reason that something's not real. You can always find a reason something's real. But the
Exactly.
problem is having an open mind to question on if something is valid.
Very true. Um, the other thing is clouds, specifically as like lenticular clouds. It's like Lenticular.
I have no clue.
I'm glad you have no clue.
I
we
don't know how
will
to say that either.
we will be we'll be going over that. But like this, going back to the weather balloons. Okay,
Hmm.
let me make it small again. Do you can does it look like a UFO to you if you did not know it was a weather balloon?
Yes, because definitely something that I don't know what it is up in the sky.
Because you don't normally see, if you can see my cursor, you don't normally see the bottom part of the weather balloon. You only see the bigger part.
Yeah, you generally don't see the dangly.
David.
Yes,
Why are you being childish?
but no, I'm saying it is. It's the dangly underside part of the weather balloon. All balloons have a dangly. It's what keeps them directional.
Okay, what about this one? It looks like a flying saucer, don't it?
Yes, it does.
Can't see it very well, but there is a dangly there as well. It is a weather
Is
balloon.
that a bird in the picture with it?
Yes, that is a bird.
Okay.
But here is one of those clouds I was telling you about.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
It definitely looks like a very large flying saucer.
It's definitely sus.
Yes, but it's actually a cloud. It's 100% pure cloud. And I will be going over that here in just a moment with you. Here's more of those clouds. I believe that is
That
actually,
looks so sus.
yeah. Basically, let's use this mountain. I don't think there's another mountain. See, there's another mountain with those same kind of clouds.
Yeah, I would hard nope out of that and like I need to turn around the other direction. I
Well,
don't
see,
care.
well, what happens is you see this mountain, right? Up here,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stable air
Hmm.
or fast moving air. When pilots actually see these kind of clouds, they go around them. They do not go through them. And there's a reason for that. Because that air is a very turbulent. I mean, extremely
Okay.
turbulent. You get your air coming up off the mountain here, okay? A lot
Hmm.
of air, so of course it's going to go push upwards, right?
Yeah.
You get your rain or what have you, and this air catches all that wind and precipitation, which forms these clouds that just sit there like that. And then how they stretch out to be that big or monstrous is because of the rotator winds over here that pull it out and pull it back down. So it just stretches it out and can shift them so they could sit over here or just stay over here. It all depends on the landscape itself. These are naturally forming clouds that look like saucers.
That is.
What?
I understand you've explained the science to me.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Yeah, you should.
That still would give me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, that's the thing. You should really check those kind of clouds out. They look monstrous, and but they're so neat looking, and they're different ways. I mean, you can even get it with a storm cell cloud. Like the anvil part of the big cloud, kind of can look like it. And people say, "Oh no, that's a fine." I'm like, "No, it's not." They'll that because a lot of they'll show a picture where it looks like a flying saucer, and it has the ridges of like a machine or something in it. I'm like, that's an altered picture, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But going back to the weather balloon aspect of it, they used these kind of devices to help gain lift for the balloon before detach.
Hmm.
What does it look like?
It definitely looks very saucerish.
That is a man made device. Human. Okay? And let us go on a bit. I'll explain this one. Okay? Um, Me personally, if I hadn't had my own experience many moons ago, I would have honestly been a skeptic today. You know, well, sort of a skeptic. A part of me would wonder because of how vast space is, if the possibility, like I said before, of there maybe there's something out there. I don't know, but another famous, well-known UFO sighting, of course, is the notorious and well-known, famously, as the Roswell incident of July 1947, where the first reported body was found. Do you remember that?
I remember that quite well. That was growing up as Generation X. That was one of the most fascinating things to all of us, and
Yeah.
there was the the true tapes of what happened at Roswell. Just 29.95, and you too can see the truth.
Yeah. Um, so, Supposedly, this incident happened over a 2 to 3 day period. Masses believe that they saw what looked like UFOs in the sky, and then when it crashed, saw or heard of an alien remains left behind. Um, Now, mind you, I found some of this information out on an Air Force website that is publicly, you know, open to everybody. So it isn't like classified information or anything. Um, but the military debunked this as an Air Force weather balloon borne research project that was gathering materials from for a project codenamed Mongol. And the report of the bodies found were that of actual Air Force members killed or injured in the line of duty, as well as the anthropomorphic test dummies. Basically, the early set of test dummies out there used in military training exercises in the vicinity of that crash site. What do you think?
That's so they're crash test dummies.
Yes, the remains found were actually a crash test dummy.
Okay.
That's what's being said. Now, I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying that's what was being said.
Okay.
And
Alrighty.
in other words, kind of like they're trying to cover it up, but in the same sense, we will go over why it's actually more believable than you think. Um, they also believe it was over the course of two different missions, testing missions, 1956 KC 97 aircraft accident, which looks like Air Force members lost their lives in 1959, named balloon mishap in which two Air Force pilots were injured. But that makes me think, with those being so off from the actual date of when the Roswell incident happened, makes me believe that there was debris left behind. People didn't know what it was, so they think it was from outer space. It's a possibility.
Okay.
And again, you will understand more here in a moment. Because it all basically stems around this place.
Oh yeah. Area 5-1.
Yes. Um, that place, Area 51, is actually located um, near, around, and I believe on Groom Lake, which is a salt flat. It is nearly located 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. It is a site located within the Nevada Testing and Training Range, um, a remote, highly secured section of the Nevada desert area. It is also considered a no fly zone that is heavily monitored. This isn't due to secrecy, but safety. Okay? Safety.
Mm-hmm.
So this place is, you are test. You got these um, the military already testing things. You don't want to be around that area when they're testing stuff. You don't want to be caught in a blast, do you?
Not ideally. I mean, I don't see superpowers coming from anything like that.
No, but then again, you have all these different things that they're doing. Testing for weapons. Um, you got different aircrafts. Again, if people don't know what's going on, they're gonna think UFO. And if it
And
catches
let's
the
just be honest.
and if it were to blow up in the sky and the wind catches it just right, it might drag it for miles and thousands of miles,
Mm-hmm.
scattering it
Uh,
elsewhere.
you don't want to be flying over there whenever they're testing something like, oops, cancer.
So it's understandable that you know why there would be test dummies, because you need to do something first before you put a human in it or have a human
Yeah.
use it.
I mean, you have to use something even before you start using dogs, before you start using chimps. You use a crash test dummy.
And of course, to make it um maybe to make it dehumanize the crash test dummies, they outfitted them differently or made them look weird so they wouldn't feel bad. Maybe. I'm just speculating. This is, again, not how I feel personally, but the possibility is there. But you can see now why I made those earlier comments.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense. It doesn't mean that, otherworldly stuff is not taking place. It just means it could have been military this whole time. At least
Which
for,
they would also want to cover up.
yeah, I agree. But at the same time, you can now see it now that it's been made public. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, during that time when all that, that Roswell incident happened, it's going to draw attention from the public. And people are going to want to sneak there and sneak in and see these things. I mean, there are people who they'd actually form like groups that would go there. I mean, I'm talking about that are comparison to Woodstock, and they'd all merge there in hopes of maybe someone getting in and being able to get proof. You know?
I understand. That's crazy to me, but no, I understand humans will do that.
Yeah. Of course, it didn't happen often, but it did happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that Area 51 actually belongs to the Department of Defense, but is administered and watched over by Edward Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see here. Let's. There are different, but with us moving along, there are different kinds of alien types that have been reported. Some of them might be explainable. We'll take some stabs at that. Maybe poor choice of words, but Um, guesses. Okay? The first up is the infamous one known as the Greys. Greys are gray skin, sometimes green, with humanoid bodies, big heads, and almond shaped eyes.
These are the weird ones who like probing, right?
Supposedly, yes. These are definitely the ones that people seem to fear the most, who report. These are the ones who also are supposedly the ones who um, abduct
Mm-hmm.
and experiment on you. Anal
Yep.
probes,
I wasn't gonna go there. I was just gonna say probing.
probing. Well, it's part of it. This is supposedly the remains of a gray. But my
Wasn't
thing,
this in Central America?
I believe so. This is unfortunately, I think, is falsified.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a chiseled stone because you can see like a chisel wedge here, there. I mean, it doesn't match up with that.
It's also like supposedly the size of your arm.
Yeah. Where this is
Oh,
actually,
don't do zooming on that sucker.
I'm not.
You were doing a slow zoom in there for a moment. I was like, oh yeah, it's getting bigger.
But this, I'm sorry, I don't believe the credibility of this one because in this, I will be honest with you, I do not believe that this is actually legitimate. It looks too chiseled, like too, like too.
It looks manufactured.
Yes, there we go. That's the word. It does. To me, it does because it does not go along with the previous picture at all. Now, if it had some similarities, I might tend to believe it, but it doesn't. That and the facial features are too close together, where the other one was not that close. And we don't. We though we. I'll give it the credit. I will give it is that we honestly do not understand how aliens from outer space decompose like we do. But
Yeah,
this
because
still looks
we're
chiseled.
assuming it's a carbon-based life form like ourselves, since that is the most common building blocks for life is carbon.
Yes. Next one is the Hopkinsville Goblin. They are
Okay.
supposed to be small gray slash silver to greenish humanoids.
Okay, let me see if I remember my cryptid information, because I believe there's also a cryptid story about these guys.
Yes, there is.
The family that they attacked is this small family in the backwoods that had like 8 people living in a one-room shack, basically. And one of the family members shot one of these suckers with a shotgun, and it just sort of stood back up again. And they were living in a mine not that far from the house. Am I right or am I wrong?
I do believe you're correct.
Haha.
But the thing about these, for my WoW or World of Warcraft people out there, look kind of like Nurgles. If you look up the Hopkinsville Goblin, you will see other pictures of what this thing looks like. But also with this is you see this is a human replica picture versus what it looks like next to it. So these are quite a bit smaller, around maybe 4 feet is the max height.
Yeah, these things are. I'm not sure if they're aliens, but they definitely fit the gremlin description.
Yes, they do. They very much do.
And that's why I'm not sure if they're aliens or if this is just a cryptid, because there are plenty of stories from World War II and some from World War One of these things being on the wings of pilots' planes.
And they, yes, I've heard about that. The next one is little green men.
Okay, those are creepy. I'm not gonna swear.
They're tiny
AF.
little green humanoids, though no known sighting has been reported for them. They are only mentioned for reference. My thing is, um, what if the little green men are actually just more of this? The
It
Hopkinsville
definitely is along the same
Goblin.
line. But if you look at, I believe Studio Ghibli did this the best. In the Orient, there are stories of nature spirits, and they match what these guys look like nearly to a T.
So you're saying they're terrestrial? They might be terrestrial,
They might be terrestrial. They might be
but just
a
only
type
few in
of,
number.
yes, they might actually be a type of spirit or uh, non-human entity.
Which makes me wonder if a lot of this stuff is not misunderstanding of what it actually is. I'm not saying they're not
Yeah.
aliens out there. I'm just saying that because sure we've explored a lot of this planet and just a fraction of the oceans, but we haven't
Mhm.
truly explored everything.
And like we went over with Bigfoot last time, there is so much unexplored parts of this world that we don't know everything we think we know.
Yeah. Yes. Um, the next one is called the Nordic aliens.
Are they Norwegian?
No, that's just a close up of those little ones, of the little green men.
He looks like he has to sneeze.
He does.
Oh, that's gosh, swift change on that one for me.
Sorry. The Nordic aliens are actually tall humanoid like creatures. They have blonde hair and blue eyes, which resemble Nordic features, given them their name. They're also known as tall whites. Like there's the grays,
Uh,
now there's the whites.
How do we know they're aliens and not just elves?
I don't know. This is the only good picture I could actually find of them.
Because they also very much match the
Or at least the.
descriptions and drawings we have of Norwegian elves,
Yeah,
forest elves, and the such.
I can understand that. But this is the only one picture I could find that matches the description. I'm not saying these are particular, but it's a general kind of, I guess you could say,
Right.
assumption. Um, then here's this one. Um, cryptozoologic animals. Oops. Oh, it doesn't want to show the picture. Give
Ah,
me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I will get it up there. Don't worry. You catch sight of it just briefly, and oh nope,
let's see if it's the feed issue.
no, it's not the feed
I'm
issue.
gonna
It's just
refresh Twitch.
it's not doing it. So that's fine. We can go with this, um, because we were just talking about cryptids, correct?
Yep.
Well, cryptids are, according to this grouping, the zoological animals and plants, so supposedly of outer space, What if the cryptids are actually or supposedly a cross between extraterrestrial and potentially terrestrial animals?
Okay, I have a story about this,
Okay.
and I've had people come up to me and talk to me about this as well too because I remember this, but yet we can't seem to find it exists. In the 90s, there was a TV show called The New Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Oh, yeah.
The one episode had to deal with not the official, but what's come to be known as as Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And in the episode, it was Bigfoots needing the help of Dr. Quest to fix their spaceship.
Funny how you say Bigfoot.
The reason why he looked like a big hairy fellow is because that's the way their spacesuits looked.
Bigfoot,
But
according to my research, is actually supposedly one of these creatures, potentially.
nowhere can we find that episode. I remember watching it on TV. This is back in the day before everything was digital, so if you didn't see an episode, that episode didn't exist to you. But again, I also don't know if this is the Mandela effect, but I remember this episode very clearly because I thought, wow, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
And I've had other people come up to me talking to me about that episode. We can't find it anywhere we look. If anyone out there on the internet can find that episode, I know there's a mountain episode that kind of does the same storyline, but it's not the same episode. So, um, yeah, cryptids being aliens, it kind of blurs the line, but it's going to bring up something I want to talk about as well too, because of what might be happening that we're unaware of.
All right.
But I
What?
want you to go over all of
No, it's
the
okay.
types first.
That's perfectly fine. If if you have something, say it.
Okay. This kind of goes back to the if there is a species out there, because I want to draw a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
If they've already mastered space travel, if they've mastered faster than light travel,
Yes.
that would indicate that they are smarter than us. By how much though? That's the thing. If they're 10% smarter than us, that is astronomically huge. And to give you a comparison in percentage of intelligence, there's only a 1 to 2% difference between us and chimpanzees. So if you look at chimpanzee, you look at humans, like, well, the human's 2% smarter and they built a skyscraper versus fling and poo. If there is a species out there that is 2% smarter than us, they could already understand primal forces we have no clue how they actually work. They could understand fission. They could understand how to make energy from gravity in its own
We're
right.
we as a human species are just barely starting to grasp that kind of information.
Exactly. And if an alien who is only 2% smarter than us on that level showed up, the smartest people on the planet would probably have about the same equivalent of a second to third grader.
Wow, that's pretty deep to think
So,
about.
so if there are these species who are far more smarter than us, then they could have things like invisibility, the concept of bending light around an object to make it unseen. They could
So
have,
cloaking.
yeah, they could
Nice.
have unlimited energy. They could also have a number of other gifts, special abilities. I mean, we've heard stories among cryptids and aliens of melting metal with mind, or creating illusions in the air.
Yeah.
And if we want to pretend that we're the smartest thing out there, that is 100% hubris.
You make a valid point.
So I see a lot of crossover between alien and cryptid, because let's also flip this coin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to go camping, would you go to a place that's just as evolved as your place, or would you go someplace a little bit more exotic and primitive? Oh,
I,
look, the natives learned how to throw metal with compressed gases. So funny. That's what a gun is.
yeah.
And they're like, look how it bounces off of us. Haha. It's
That tickles.
just
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely. Um, that's true. It's like they don't understand us, we don't understand them. There's gonna be some cross.
hmm Now there may be elements out there that they have access to that we don't. But if you look at what everything is made out of, there is a saying that we are stardust, and that's the truth. The basic building blocks that make up Earth, that make up us, that make up you and I,
Mm-hmm.
are the same building blocks 10 million light years away. They may have been built in a slightly different way, but you'll still find hydrogen, oxygen, carbon
Mm-hmm.
as the primary building blocks. And that's also why I think finding evidence of aliens is a little bit more difficult, because we would literally have to find something either manufactured, incredibly different from the way we manufacture, or it would still break down to the basic building blocks that we have here.
Okay. I I can see that.
I'm sorry for my little derail.
You're perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But it still goes back to what you were saying about the cryptids.
Yes.
And with aliens, you've got the aliens with the possibility that cryptids very well might be a cross between terrestrial and extraterrestrial. Not saying it
hmm
is, but there is a possibility, and that's why they classify it as as a alien body type. But then we also have this reptilians
Yeah.
or reptilianoids.
Yeah,
Um,
these things freak me the fuck out. I didn't try not to swear. Ah, damn it. Ha!
um, they are tall humanoid entities that were reported as being seen far back as ancient Egypt and influenced likeness of the revered goddess Sobek, a crocodile head river goddess that was worshipped by pretty much everybody. And I can see it.
hmm
I'm not saying that this is specifically one type or with the way it looks, but it is one of the reptilianoids reported to have been seen. There is no
Yeah.
actual pictures of them. It's all hearsay on what they looked like.
There was a TV show that also theorized about this. And they spun it as a sci-fi drama. It was V, and they were the visitors. And the visitors looked human, so we loved them. They looked great. Until you start noticing they would do things like eat gerbils alive.
Ew.
And yeah,
Yeah, I know. That's. That's pretty nasty to think about, but I can see it. Because we,
It's
again,
because
don't know their behaviors or their, um, I guess, I'm trying to think of the right word. Um, like, their, what is it? Not habitat. Um,
their habits, not their habits, their diets.
yes, there we go. Their diets. We don't know what they are
Yeah,
or what they
because
need.
look at just all the different dietary tracks we have on our planet. I mean, cows have four stomachs, and
And they say that that's, you know, I'm like, to me, that's kind of abnormal. I
um,
understand why they have it, it's been scientifically explained, but still, it just seems weird to me.
now reptilians. There's a lot of joke theories I listen to about reptilians.
Hmm.
Kind of like how they're the ones actually running the world. They're in charge of the politicians. That
Yes.
only someone who's that cold blooded could be that dumb and that manipulative. So, but back to the argument about us and chimpanzees. What if there was a reptilian race that was just 3 or 4% smarter than all the rest, and they said, you know what? There's a giant meteor coming this way. We can't stop that sucker, but we can sure hide underground long enough for it to go away. And then all of a sudden, boop! Hey, look, these mammals, they grow real fast. They're kind of tasty too.
That very well could be. We do not know everything that's going on in our own Earth. We only have surmised what's gone on or goes on. We do have drills and setups and stuff like that that can kind of take pictures, but not every inch of every cave has ever been explored.
Exactly. There's so much
The
that's still
tunnel
out there.
systems and the ones that have collapsed, we can't, that we'll never have access to. I'm like, it's a possibility. It really is. Now, here's another body type called the rods or skyfish. It is um, often seen in photographs, movies, what have you, um, primarily with photos, especially in paranormal investigations and stuff like that, or say, look at this, it's a spirit, or what have you. Honestly, it's a bug,
It's a dragonfly or a hummingbird that's hit the light.
or
Just because
different,
your camera
or
picks,
different bug entirely, but it's still a bug that hit your, like you said, the camera light, the way the flash or the shutter speed of your camera is what it caught.
exactly, because you may have a shutter speed, but there are things that move a lot faster than your shutter speed. And this is just basically one bug with several different exposures at the same time in the middle of one camera.
Yep,
If you do time lapse photography, these things show up like no one's business.
like this. This is a whole
Yeah,
mess of them. And
and
what
if
do bugs do at night? What are they
especially
attracted
around
to?
lights, yep,
These
yeah,
are
that's
simply bugs.
hmm
Because
no, I agree 100% with you.
if there were that many of them, don't you think we'd know?
Okay, devil's advocate. What if we can't see them?
But when you're sitting here, oh, you have a point. But when we're sitting here looking at, say, we're about to take this picture, and we see these, we see whatever that might be, a crane or what have you, and that light over there, then a commercial light,
Hmm.
and you can see the bugs darting in and out and stuff like that. And then when
True.
you take the picture, and this is what you get. You get.
But what if the camera is capturing light at a different spectrum than we actually see?
You have you have a point.
Now,
But
this is
then
me playing
if
devil's
they
advocate.
were
I believe
but if they are invisible, would the camera actually catch them?
possibly, and that's because
Then they
we
wouldn't be
can't
visible.
see the
They
certain part
wouldn't
of
be
the.
invisible.
Well, we can't see certain spectrums. As humans, we cannot see into the ultraviolet spectrum while some other
You
animals
have
can.
a point. I didn't take that into consideration. Like how they do the temperature cameras and stuff like that.
Hmm. And how we have UV cameras that make everything look super bright, yet we can't see a thing. We just see darkness.
You have a point right there. That is a possibility.
Likewise, as ghosts might be just alien visitors.
You, I, c- I- but that's the thing. Ghosts do exist. Spirits exist.
Yes.
It's been proven over and over and over again.
No, I agree. However, who's to say not that one ghost here or there might just be someone with an invisibility cloak?
You have a point. I guess it depends on the situation.
Hmm.
It really
There's so
does.
much unexplained, and it's to try and shoehorn everything into one explanation is also kind of naive. And that's the one thing we promote a lot of is having an open mind to all the possibilities.
Yeah. Um. The only difference I would think to all of this with the different things and aspects out there were animals versus the aliens themselves is there have been times where it's been reported that where someone's found like metal or something that isn't human or man-made.
Hmm.
Does it is it then considered extraterrestrial, or is it possibly terrestrial, just made by something or someone that we don't know or have never seen?
That is a very good question. It's like I said, it's extremely hard to tell.
Mm-hmm. It is, but it's a possibility. There's endless, countless possibilities out there, really,
Hmm.
and it's
And
just some. Go ahead.
do you want to hear one of the craziest possibilities out there?
What is that?
That we're not native to this planet.
Really?
The out there among space right now, there are billions of flying spaceships. And I say this in the very broadest terminology. Asteroids harboring microlife.
Okay.
And sometimes asteroids hit this planet. We have proof of that. Who's to say that some odd billion million years ago, the things that eventually evolved into everything on this planet didn't come from somewhere else?
Which then brings into perspective and questions, and I dislike that I'm about to say this, but you know, humanity, it brings into perspective space, or not perspective, but uh, you then draw in, like I said, humanity. You got your space, but then religion.
Yes. Um, Religion is a very touchy subject among a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different people.
Exactly.
Um, I truly believe whatever every person out there believes in, they have a right to believe that. I'm not going to judge it
It's,
if it's right or wrong. I may
it's their
try and
human
argue
right.
my point against it. Yeah. But if your religion believes in the only way to spread it is by enforcing it on others without reasonable discourse, uh, that I take offense to.
I can understand and I respect that. What gets
Because
me is a lot. Go ahead.
because mathematically, um, if you follow the complete trend of everything, there is something outside of time and space. And whether that something has a direct purpose for everything, we have no way of understanding that.
True. Very true.
Because even if we are aliens from a different planet sent here from an asteroid, life had to start on that different planet.
Had to
Life
start
had to be
somewhere.
created somewhere.
Yep.
Something outside of time and space.
Very true. And with that being said, we are going to end things here. We had a wonderful discussion, I think. It was very informative. At least I would believe so. I don't know about you.
I think so.
Yeah. Next time on A Deep Look into the Paranormal podcast, we're going to be talking about a haunted and famous place called Castle Loma, which is in Canada. Actually, Ontario, Canada, I do believe. Um, it's been the site of many films. But it is actually reported to be the only true castle in the Americas.
Hmm.
Hmm? But that will
Okay.
be next time, which is 2 weeks from now, I believe.
hmm
And but hopefully we will see you all then. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw here today. Um, if you're watching us on Twitch, feel free to join the chat. We'll definitely talk and chat with you or answer your questions. You can hit the follow button to find out whenever we go live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can hit the like button if you like, dislike if you dislike, and please do not forget to subscribe there. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, this is Jennifer and David Wills with a deep look into the
And
paranormal. Go
I
ahead.
would definitely like to circle back around to this topic again in the later date,
Oh, I
going
I
off the
intend to. I intend
going
to.
off to more like the just the phenomenon side. We did the aerial. I'd like to do the phenomenons
Not a
because we have
problem.
something right here in Texas that's light based. It goes through the air, and people have been debating what it is for years.
Okay, we'll save it for next time.